So this is from Archangel Metatron. When I think of his name, I think of a transformer, right? So basically, what he says is to seek within yourself the inner grids, and these grids are connected to everything known. So I did this message a little bit differently than I would normally do messages because he was so straightforward with the message he wanted to give, and I'm like kind of introducing a lot of these spirit guides and higher spiritual leaders. I kind of was like, hey, like let's figure out a little bit more about you, what you're about. So anyways, his main message was the grids outside your inner self, your inner being, whether crystalline, earth, tree, whatever, all gives us the opportunity to essentially plug into a specific piece of the matrix. And he's like, you'll call it the matrix. So that's what he referred it to. So when connecting into one of the choice ones I gave, so whether that's the tree grid, crystal, or earth grid, he says it will begin activations. So starting with the earth elements is a really great way to start. These activations will help you hear the calls of nature more clearly. So let's see. If you just jumped on, we're talking about Archangel Metatron and the message that came through to me today. Okay, so he's talking about grids. So he's saying connecting to the earth elements is a great way to start. They are pretty easy to connect with since we're so used to them already. So just whether that's, sitting against a tree, you don't have to talk to a tree and be all woo-woo. Just sitting against a tree or holding a crystal or whatever it is that you feel connected to, or sitting like next to water. So when you use the Metatron grid, you open up a high frequency portal of remembrance. These tools of crystals help you sustain the grid for a longer period. So he's saying like the crystals that are that you use within the grids help sustain the grid for a longer period. So it's like when you look at these grids, automatically it's going to cause activations, but he's saying using those physical elements just kind of sustains it and trains your mind to be like, hey, there's something right here. Okay, let's see. Well, while also giving your mind a physical object to focus itself on. So I asked him, what do you mean by inner grids? And he goes, because I was like, okay, you're going on about these grids, but I've never heard of, these inner grids before. None of my spiritual teachers have ever talked about it, and a lot of people don't talk about this stuff. So I'm like, okay, what is this about? And he's like, your cells, your bones, your DNA, virtually every part of your being on a very, very micro scale holds grids. And he was also giving me, so when I get these channel messages, it's a lot like images inside of my head that are very complex, and I have to like figure out how to write them into human words. Sometimes they are translated into words, like actual words, but a lot of times they're just like these complex images, and I'm just like, how am I going to explain that, So he was basically, it's interesting. So when I was looking at, I got images of cells and the bones, and it's like he showed me on a very small scale that inside of your bones and just the structure of your bones holds like these little grids, and it's really hard to explain, but it basically helps your energetic flow and with your activations. So going on forward, let's see. So these grids, much like the ones more known, actually have consciousness and are very much a living being. So this is kind of a weird perspective, and I really couldn't find the perfect word for this because it's not like a being like like, hey, so-and-so. No, it's not like that. It's just a living organism kind of thing. You know what I mean? Let's see here. When you activate them, they know exactly how to assemble and work. So basically, I think that's what he meant by like consciousness, that they already know how to do the job that, you know, is kind of being instructed. So you don't have to be like, hey, let's activate this. You know, it just kind of does it on its own when you get the realizations or do certain things. So I said, tell me more on how we can use these grids to enhance our life / being, you know. And he was like I mentioned before, you will be able to access a greater awareness in and outer. When you activate, they work to heal you as you open the higher frequencies. You will become more connected in many aspects. These grids help open your gifts and empower you to rid fear as understanding sinks in. So he's saying your fear basically will start to go away once you gain the understanding. But I will say, anything new, the brain kind of freaks out at first. But it's like, oh my gosh, what is this? You know, it's kind of like the ego trying to figure out what's going on with it. So let's see here. So he's going on to say, when generating the grids, set the highest intentions so you will begin activating the grid's consciousness, all within your being, and can respond with direction. Sorry, that was a little complex in my writing. It's not always that great. So he said to set the intention, kind of be like when you either set up a grid or you're looking at a grid, or you even go sit next to a tree and you want to connect with that grid kind of thing. I'm just using the tree thing as an example. He's kind of like set the intention that you know what you're trying to do. So say if I'll just use a tree thing. So when sat next to the tree and I want to connect to like the earth grid, right? Because the earth holds an energetic grid and all the trees are very connected within that grid. So you sit your spine up against the tree. You don't have to be a weirdo and talk to the tree like I said, but you could kind of set the intention like, hey, I have this going on in my life right now and I really want it to look like this. So kind of like being aware of what, I wouldn't use the word want either. Desire is actually a stronger word. Want is not a very low frequency word, but it's kind of needy. And when you're dealing with energy, needy is not what you want to go for. So I desire this, put the image in your head. I desire this lifestyle, this thing, and focus. The universe knows focus. So you stay consistent and focused with that. And the more time you connect with these grids, the more activated you become and the more aware you become of these earth elements and what's going on. And like he said before, the more aware you will become with what's going on in a deeper sense with the earth. So, and I just used the earth element grid. There's many types of grids that you could work with. So let's go on here. Spawn with directions. Okay, so using the earth elements, the best way to create the grid to stay grounded. Oh, yeah, he wanted me to tell you that I like using the earth elements as well to do this because it also grounds you while you're doing this. Sometimes high frequency work can make you feel ungrounded. Like sometimes I'll come out of a meditation and I'm like, oh my goodness, like I feel like I don't know, a sense of not being grounded. So he's saying using that will help ground. So I asked him, Metatron, do you want to describe yourself so people know how to work with you? Because I'm like, okay, you gave these great messages. Now tell us a little bit about you, because it's like what I'm doing right now. And he's like, I'm considered an archangel. I am also a sequence of geometric algorithms, and I am more logical, mathematical, complex problem solver. I encourage those that study sciences with math to call upon me when confused about solutions. those who are engineers, inventors, or builders that also desire more complex outcomes that are very successful to call upon me. And I will have, I also have many other talents, but today I wanted to really focus on the aspect of grids and geometrics. I think I'm saying all this right. This is all just coming through to me. So, and I do want to say that I really did not know much about this archangel. I don't know much about some of these beings that come through. So I'm like trusting myself. I'm like, okay, I got this right. And like, I'll go look it up later and it will just all come together, like other people's experiences. And I'm like, okay, so I guess I wasn't being cuckoo, right? It's learning to trust yourself. And when you gain your gifts, it's like learning to trust yourself is like one of the biggest things. Even some of the most greatest spiritual teachers I have still have a hard time trusting, like, am I getting this right? Am I doing this right? Did I make this course right? Like, they're all like that. And I even talk about in my other videos that a lot of these ascended beings they were very much like that. It's just part of the human experiences to learn when to trust your gifts. So, going on, that's my little spiel there. He goes, my compassion and passion for, oh, excuse me. Okay. Humanity is strong, so he has a lot of compassion and he's serious about what he's doing. My purpose is to use my gifts to help humanity ascend, and I will be working closely with you and many others to ensure my messages are translated in a understandable form. A lot of my writings and equations that I have worked with the past, with other humans in the past, many thousands of years ago, including Atlantis, like he specifically wanted me to include that, and many other civilizations have been forgotten, buried, hidden, stolen, or I guess stolen for uses of negativity. So, and he's like, oh, okay. He's saying, it is time again to retranslate the powers and the gifts each one of you holds. I leave now with this powerful message and download. Understanding it takes a lot of energy and concentration to write this. So if you're just jumping on, this is from Archangel Metatron, and he was talking about grids. So what I really liked about this message was that I've never known anything about, I mean, I knew about grids with crystals and all that stuff, like kind of the basic stuff, just not a lot of the complex stuff. I did not know that each one of our bodies hold grids within itself. And it does make sense because we all have energy centers. So it's kind of just like on a very micro scale that he's talking about here. So when you go and sit next to a tree or whatever, you're actually activating those micro scale grids and activating your DNA. Therefore, opening up what you deserve, your gifts, you know, everything. I will say, as a little bit of a disclaimer on this, is some of your shadow work, don't be surprised if some of your shadow work does come up when you start activating yourself, because basically your body remembers any traumas that in the past, and it kind of like you're ascending and your body has to adjust to that ascension. So it's kind of like grabbing on, like, oh, I'm trying to keep up with this amazing soul, with this amazing energetic person, but I'm holding on to this and it's really dense. So there's going to be kind of like a balance that needs to happen, and that's when, you know, it's great. The ascension is great, but the inner work is very important when you are working on your ascension. So anyways, that is the message for today. I'm going to do a small TikTok video on just briefly what I talked about today. The video that I guess the live that I am translating here, this message here, will also be on YouTube. So if you missed out on any of the message, then you can go ahead and check out YouTube. I'll try to get it posted up tonight. If not, check tomorrow. It'll be about 15 minutes long. Okay. I hope you'll have a wonderful night. Bye. Okay, and for this portion of the video, I was on Facebook Live talking about Archangel Metatron. So if you see me looking away, that's what I was trying to do. So yeah, if you have any comments, leave below, and thank you for joining me today, and I will see you in the next video.